called as values. Now once we open up the values folder, we have a file which is called as strings.xml. So this file right here is going to store the strings for us. So we simply open the file. So as you could see, we have our text as well as button stored right here in form of a resource. So let's say you want to change the text, or if you want to change the button text, you could just delete the previous text. So let's say we want to change it to hello, and let's say we want to change the button text to, let's say, click here. So we simply make the changes to the strings.xml file, and as you could notice, when we switch to our content mail.xml, the text has been changed. Now the layout part of this program has been done, and the next thing which we do is that we design the main logic behind our application. So in order to do that, we go to this main activity.java file and we remove the imports which we don't require so as to clean up the code. So as we don't need this, we delete it. And we also need to import certain things in order to handle the events. So the first thing which we want to import is that we want to import the view. So in order to import view, we type import android dot view dot view, and we are importing this view. That is because we are going to need it while handling the event. So when we are going to use the view in the event handling, you'll understand the significance of the view. Now we are also going to need the button and text view. So we type import android dot widget dot button, and we also import the text view. So we type import android dot widget dot text view. Now once we are done with this, the next thing which we do is that we write the Java code for handling the event. But before directly jumping into the code, I wanted to explain certain things about event handling. So basically, event handling consists of two parts. The first part is going to be listening to the event, which is also called as the event listener, and the second part is called as the callback method. So what happens is that the event handling usually has an event listener which is always going to listen to the event, so that when the event occurs, it is going to call the callback method, and the callback method is going to consist certain lines of code which is going to be performed when that particular event happens. So basically, the event handling part is divided into two things. The first thing is going to be the event listener, which listens for the event, and the callback method, which is eventually going to execute certain lines of code when the particular event occurs. So that's it for this tutorial, and in the next tutorial we'll be writing the code for handling a particular event. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you. Hello and welcome to this tutorial, and in this tutorial we'll be writing some code in order to handle the event. So in the previous tutorial, what we have done is that we have created the simple interface so that we could use this as an example for event handling. So what we are trying to achieve here is that when we click this button right here, the text right over here is going to change. So now let's go ahead and let's get started with the tutorial. So the first thing which we need to do is that in order to handle any event, we need to first add an event listener, and then we are going to use the callback method. So the first thing which we need to do is that we need to detect the event which has occurred. So in order to do that, the first thing which we need to do is that we need a reference to the button. So in order to get the reference to the button, we simply use the ID of the button. So in order to get reference, we type button, and then the name of our button is my button. Then we type equals in brackets button, which is used for typecasting, and then we find the button by ID. So in order to find the button by ID, we use a method which is called as find view by ID. So we type find view by ID, and inside the ID we are going to specify the ID of the button. So we type r.id.mybutton, and we are going to have a reference to our button due to this line of code. Now once we have a reference to our button, the next thing which we do is that we need to add up an action listener to the button. So as in this case, we are working with the click option or the click event. So basically we add an on-click listener to our button. So in order to add an on-click listener to the button, first we specify the button name. So in this case, the button name is my button, and then in order to add up on-click listener to it, we give a dot operator, and then we type set on click listener, and it is going to add up and onClick listener to our button. Now the next thing which we want to do is that we want to add a callback method inside this onClick listener, and a callback method is basically a method which is going to get called when a click event related to this button occurs. So in order to set up a callback method, the first thing which we need to do is that we need to create an interface. Now in order to create an interface, what we do is that we type the keyword new, then we type button, then we give a dot operator and we type on click listener, and it is going to add up the interface for us. Now once this interface is set up, we are going to go ahead and we are going to add up the callback method into this interface. So in order to create a callback method, we type public void on click, and in the parameters we are going to use the view. So we type view and we name our view as, let's say, v, and inside it we specify the code which we want to perform. So the first thing which we need to do is that on click of a button we want to change the text of my text. So we type text view and let's name the text view as my text, then we type equals, and in order to typecast it we type text view again inside parentheses. So if you know Java, you could understand what typecasting is. And we go out of the parentheses and then we type find view by ID, and as we are going to need the ID to the button, so we type r dot id dot my button. And now once we are done with this, the final thing which we need to do is that we need to change the text of the large text. So in order to do that, we type my text, which is name of our text, then we use a method which is called as set text in order to change the text. So we type my text dot set text, and inside double quotes we specify the text which we want to display. So let's say we type button click. Now I think I have by mistake added this parentheses and a semicolon, so I go ahead and delete it. Now once this is done, we save our code. Now I think I have done a simple mistake right over here. So this actually should not be my button, it should actually be my text, as we are going to change the text of the text view and not the button. So here we type my text. Now once this is done, the next thing which we do is that we save the code and we run our code onto the emulator so as to check if we have done everything correctly. So let's go ahead and run our application on the emulator. So as you could see, we have our application up and running on the emulator. So the text which it is displaying is hello, and the text on the button is displaying click here. Now if you click the button right here, the text here is going to change to button click. So basically we are successful in creating an action listener for this button right here. So when we click the button, the text right here changed. So we are successful in creating our application. So basically in this tutorial we have used event handling concepts in order to handle a particular event. So basically an event is nothing but some user actions like click of a button, double tapping a button, or any other activity performed by the user. So basically in event handling we have two parts. The first part is going to be the event listener and the second part is going to be the callback method. So basically a event listener is nothing but it is a listener which keeps on listening for some event to happen, and when that particular event happens, it is going to perform a set of code which are being listed inside the callback method. So in this tutorial our main intention was we had a text right and we had a button right here, and when we clicked on the button we wanted to change the text right here. So what we did is that we have added a click listener to this button right here so that when the click event happens we change the text. So in order to change the text, what we have done is that inside the callback methods we have specified the code in order to change the text of this text area right here. So thank you very much for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next tutorial. Thank you.